Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be making garlic cheddar drop biscuits, but the methods that we use in this video can be applied to any biscuit recipe because we're going to be using the biscuit method. And this method is used for a lot of different products, including biscuits and scones and pie dough, but if you follow this method you're going to do well with making anything. So to begin with, we are going to add all of your dry ingredients, so that's flour, baking powder, baking soda, garlic powder, and salt into the bowl. And with whatever recipe you're making, you're just going to put all of your dry ingredients in there to begin with. And you want to start out by mixing that up thoroughly before you add anything else in, just because the more you mix these products, the more tough they're going to get. So we want to make sure we are mixing these up before we add any sort of liquids or anything to there. Then you are going to put your cold butter chunks in there, and you do want this to be cold because we are working these in. This particular process is called cutting in, and when you cut in the butter, you are looking to get it worked in there. If you have cold fingers, this works well, but you can also use your fingers, a couple of forks to break it up, or a thing called a pastry blender, and that works pretty well. And the pastry blender is used basically for anything that you're going to cut in for the biscuit method, so it's not used for much of anything else. I just prefer to work with my hands because it's what I'm used to, but a pastry blender works well for this process. You're going to continue working that butter in until the mixture looks like cornmeal, and that is going to get you to where these biscuits are going to be super flaky. So any of your biscuit method products are going to be very, very flaky, and that's what you're looking for. So this is a little non-traditional, but I'm going to add the shredded cheddar before I add the liquid in, and that's just to make sure that the cheddar gets all the way through your dry ingredient mixture so that we don't have to mix it as much once we've added the liquid. Once you add that liquid, you're going to start to develop gluten in the flour, and that's going to make your biscuits tough. And so none of us want tough biscuits, none of us want tough scones, and so in this process you are going to want to go ahead and mix in your cheddar cheese before you add your liquid in. So now we're going to add in your buttermilk, and we are stirring this until it just barely comes together. The more you stir it, the tougher these are going to get. So once you get it to where it's combined, you are good to go. This is not sped up, that's real time. That's all of the stirring it's going to get. Then you are going to line a baking sheet with parchment. If you don't have parchment, you can put it on a greased baking sheet, but the parchment just makes cleanup a lot easier. You can also use the silicone baking mats as well. And then what I usually use is a scoop, but you can also use 2 spoons to just scoop up some and then scrape it off onto the pan. And this method is called drop biscuits. If you were doing roll biscuits, you would just roll these out and cut it at this stage, but your batter would be a little bit stiffer. And you're going to make sure that these are even sizes, because if they are different sizes, they're not going to bake at the same rate. So some of them will be overdone and some of them will be underdone. So you want to keep them as evenly sized as possible. We're going to bake these at 450 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes until they get golden brown. And that is the basic process for making a drop biscuit. It comes together super quickly. So once they are out of the oven, you want to brush those with garlic parsley butter, and that is going to keep them from drying out as well. So any biscuits that you make, if you can brush those with butter afterwards, that keeps them from drying out over time. And this is also another spot to add flavor into them. But these biscuits end up tasting like some from a particular chain that we all know and love, and they taste a lot better, in my opinion, when they're freshly made and when you've made them yourself. Thank you so much for watching Mixing with Merks. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and subscribing helps us out the most right now. And we'll see you soon.